Hello and welcome to Misheard Song Lyrics Podcast. We're in season 2, episode 96, our first foreigner misheard song lyric. The misheard song lyric is Juice Box Hero, and the correct lyrics is Jukebox Hero. This misheard song lyric would be perfect for an advertisement to sell children's drinks like Ocean Spray or Minute Maid. Kids love their juice box, and so do some men. Anywho, Jukebox Hero is a song written by Lou Gramm and Mick Jones and performed by their band Foreigner from their 1981 album 4. It first entered the Billboard Hot Mainstream Rock Tracks chart in July of 1981. I was a mere 9, and eventually reached number 3 on the chart. Released as the album's third single in early 1982, it went to number 26 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. So let's delve into who Foreigner is, who the lineup was during the song, and how they got together and why the name Foreigner. So the part of the lineup that was part of this Jukebox Hero song was lead vocals with Lou Gramm. He was born Louis Andrew Grammatico on May 2nd, 1950. He's also an American rock singer. I thought he was British, so I learned something new there. Best known for being the lead singer, of course, of the band Foreigner from 1977 to 1990. At that time, they had numerous hits, top albums and singles. And then we have Mick Jones, lead and rhythm guitars, backing vocals, founder as well, and not to be confused with Mick Jones of The Clash, same name, different person. Rick Wills, bass guitar, backing vocals, as well as Dennis Elliott, drums. So who is Foreigner? Foreigner is a British-American rock supergroup originally that was formed back in New York City back in 1976 by Mick Jones. He's a British guitarist and songwriter, and again, not to be confused with The Clash's lead guitarist, Mick Jones as well. And fellow Britain and ex-King Crimson member Ian MacDonald, along with American vocalist Lou Gramm. And Jones came up with the band's name as he and MacDonald and Dennis Elliott were British, whereas Gramm, Al Greenwood, and Ed Gagliardi were American, and they felt like, anywhere we go, we'll be considered foreigners. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So in 1977, Foreigner released its self-titled debut album, the first of 4 straight albums to be certified at least 5 times platinum in the U.S. Foreigner peaked number 4 in the U.S. album chart and in the top 10 in Canada and Australia, while pretty much bringing 2 top hits in North America. First is the other one, Feels Like the First Time. Remember that one? And Cold as Ice. That's the other one. Their 1978 follow-up Double Vision was even more successful, peaking number 3 in North America with 2 top singles, Hot-Blooded, a number 3 hit in both countries, and the title track, a U.S. number 2 and a Canadian number 7. And then Foreigner's third album, Head Games, in 1979, went to number 5 in North America, producing 2 top 20 singles, including its title track. The one I remember in my childhood is definitely the one that shows number 4. And I remember it because it was an 8-track tape that my uncle and cousin had in their car. I think it was their Monte Carlo. And they would throw it in there. It came out in 1981, and it hit number 1 for 10 weeks in the U.S. and number 2 in Canada, while becoming Foreigner's breakthrough album outside of North America, going to top 5 in the UK, Germany, and Australia. So 2 of the number 4 singles that were smashes was Urgent, 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 reached number 1 in Canada, and on the new US Rock Tracks chart, number 4 on the US Hot 100, and became the first top 15 hit in Germany. And a ballad that I've been waiting for a girl like you, and ironically, years later was covered by Mariah Carey, I think. So that was on that number 4, and that peaked at number 2 in both the US for a record of 10 weeks, and Canada topped the US Rock Tracks chart and became their first top 10 hit in the UK and Australia. In 1982, Foreigner released its greatest hits albums called Records, which has gone on to sell 7 million copies in the US. That's a lot. 7 million. A lot of it is people going to the record store at the time and buying it, not downloading it. And then in 1984, Foreigner had hit its biggest hit single, the anthemic ballad, I Wanna Know What Love Is. That's that, which topped the US, UK, Canadian, and Australian charts, while hitting number 3 in Germany and the top 10 in numerous other countries. Its source album, Agent Provocateur, I love that, was the band's most successful in the UK, Germany, and some other countries in Europe, where it peaked at number 1 and in Australia number 3, while performing well in the US with number 4 and Canada number 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after a break, Foreigner released in 1987 their album called Inside Formation, which compared to the other, records they put out, it did okay. It had the number 6 US and Australian hit Say You Will, which I don't remember that, which also rose to number 1 on the US Rock Tracks chart, but had a large sales drop-off or dip, only hitting the top 10 in a few European countries with a number 15 peak in the US. And the band's most recent albums, one in 91, Unusual Heat, and that's now without Graham, because remember I shared earlier he left in 1990. And the main reason was supposedly he departed due to the band's shift towards more use of synthesizers. And then in 1994, Mr. Moonlight with Graham back on vocals. So he must have came back. And then Can't Slow Down in 2009. Once again, without Graham, were not major sellers, and the highest chart positions were obtained in Germany, so not so much in the US anymore, where the last album peaked at number 16. To date, Foreigner is one of the world's best-selling bands of all time, with a worldwide sales of more than 80 million. And records including 37.5 million in the US, and then leader Mick Jones has been for many years the only founding member still involved from day one when he founded it until now. Well, how was it formed? So since its beginning, Foreigner was led by, like I said, Mick Jones, and apparently he was a member of Nero and the Gladiators, ooh, cool name, Johnny Holliday's band, Spooky Tooth, and the Leslie West Band. And after the collapse of the Leslie West Band in 1976, Mick Jones found himself pretty much stranded in New York City. So West manager Bud Prager encouraged Jones to continue his songwriting and rehearse a band of his own in some space that Prager had near his New York office. So Jones got together with New York keyboardist Al Greenwood, apparently who had just played with former Flash members Colin Carter and Mike Hoff, or you, in a group called Storm, and then drummer Stan Williams and Louisiana bassist Jay Davis, later with Rod Stewart. Oh, that's cool, and began jamming. Another friend, a story singer by the name of Ian Lloyd, was brought in to sing, but Jones decided the chemistry was not quite there and retained Mr. Greenwood as he renewed his search for players. So he pretty much used Greenwood until he finds something better, right? So during the session for Ian Lloyd's album, Jones met up with transplanted Englishman and ex-King Crimson member Ian McDonald, there's a lot of Ians here, and another session for Ian Hunter, another Ian, another fellow Brit and drummer Dennis Elliott. But after they kept auditioning more and more singers, about 40 or 50, the right vocalist was becoming harder to find until Jones dragged out an old Black Sheep album given to him backstage at a Spooky Tooth concert. Remember, he was part of Spooky Tooth a few years back by that group's lead singer, which was Lou Gramm. The rest is history. So Jones put a call into Graham, who was back in the hometown of Rochester, New York, after Black Sheep's breakup, perfect timing, and sent him a plane ticket to New York City. Graham proved to be the missing piece of this puzzle, and Brooklyn bassist Ed Gagliardi completed the new sextet. A name Trigger. Okay, so here's a big did you know. Foreigner was called Trigger, okay? They agreed upon it and it appeared on their demo tape, but it was passed on by all the record companies as it was delivered. John Kalodner, a former journalist and radio programmer who was working in A&R at Atlantic Records, happened to spot a tape on the Atlantic president Jerry L. Greenberg's desk with the Trigger identification on it. Kalodner, I think that's how you say it, had just been to hear an outfit called Trigger and realized this was not the same band. He convinced Greenberg that at least one of the songs in the tape could be a big hit, to look into signing this group immediately because the Trigger name was already taken, so I guess there's another band called Trigger. Jones came up with the Foreigner moniker, which I shared earlier about all of them on the band were all from different parts of the world. So wherever they go, they're going to be a foreigner. There it is. So what's the song all about? It's pretty basic. I mean, it really does tell the story. There's no hidden gems here. Again, a boy couldn't purchase a ticket, sold out show. I mean, the lyrics say it. Listening outside, he hears that one guitar, and then realize that if I get a guitar at a secondhand store and learn to play it, I can be a jukebox hero. So then the song goes on to describe his struggles, and then lo and behold, he is now the big star, and he sees another kid just like him, reminding him, wanting to be that jukebox hero that couldn't afford even a ticket. Apparently, Mick Jones told Songfest that the song was inspired by an actual fan, that's cool, who stood outside waiting in an arena glimpse of what was happening backstage at the concert. And then on July 19, 2016, Lou said on the Brother Wee's radio show in Rochester, New York, that the song was about him waiting outside the Rochester War Memorial to see Jimi Hendrix. But the show was sold out. Connection to Mr. Jimi Hendrix, cool. The song was developed out of two separate song ideas that were combined with the help of producer Robert John Muttlang. Remember that name? Back in episode 40, gosh, we're in 96, so 56 episodes ago, wow, when I covered his ex-wife Shania Twain's misheard song lyric, That Don't Impress Me Much, I talk about Muttlang. One of the ideas was that jukebox hero portion that Jones had developed, and the other was developed by Graham and had been called Take One Guitar. So there's the guitar there. The song was also re-recorded live in a 2005 Las Vegas concert where included portions of the Led Zeppelin song Whole Lotta Love, Got a Whole Lotta Love. And then it released on Foreigner's Extended Versions album. A live version of the Jukebox Hero was also released on the 2014 album Best of Foreigner 4 and More. And of course, how did it do? It did well. I mean, I shared earlier, but classic rock critic Matt Wardlaw ranked Jukebox Hero, I want to say Juice, Jukebox Hero as Foreigner's all-time greatest song, and stated that for anyone who's ever been on the wrong side of a sold-out concert, Jukebox Hero will touch a chord. Although the physical 45 sold fewer than 500,000 copies initially, Jukebox Hero has been certified platinum by the RIAA for over a million digital downloads. So it was a little engine that could. I'm excited. I learned a lot about really what the song was about, but not realizing it may have been about a real fan, and that fan could have been Lou Gramm waiting to hear and see Jimi Hendrix, and also how it was formed and why they're called Foreigner. If you have any great suggestions, like misheard song lyrics like this, I've been getting some great ones from you listeners out there. Thank you. Please send it to misheard songs, MISSHEARD songs @gmail.com, or any of our sites, social media, Twitter, Instagram, all that jazz. And if it's a good one, I might do it. All right. So keep singing those songs wrong. Bye.